welcome. Welcome those watching at home and those here tonight. I appreciate everyone being here, as well as our candidate, Knaus. We ran into a few issues. That's why we're starting a little bit later today. So I appreciate everyone's patience with us. We're still going to move forward. I had a confirmation that Mr. Nickel was going to be here tonight, and I have not heard anything from him. I've reached out and have not received any notifications back yet. So hopefully as we're going through, if he does show up, then we can continue on with where we leave off. But as of now, we'll just start going through our whole forum with one candidate here, Ms. Knaus. And thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. But first I want to start off, welcome members of the community, other SBPOA members who've shown up and supporting this event. And it's something that has been in the works and one of the first ones we've done in a very long time. So I'm excited to start having this as a regular event that the Police Officers Association is providing to the community to show our involvement, not only with our community members, but also with the candidates who are being elected within our governmental systems. So a special thank you to First Baptist Church for providing us with the location in San Bernardino today. They've been hugely helpful for getting everything set up. Not just political stuff, but a lot of events and a lot of showing the highlights of what our officers do on a regular basis. So it's something to look forward to. So mark your calendars and watch our channel for it. If you haven't yet, like it, subscribe, and we truly appreciate it. So without further ado, Creative IT is here, and Justin Royce is the owner of that company. He's the one presenting this live stream for us today, and he's doing amazing work, so I highly recommend him to anyone who's out there who's watching this live, and he'll get whatever needs you need. So starting out, and I'm just going to keep it kind of generally in the same format, and I'm not going to have 3 minutes of silence for the other candidate who's not here right now, but I would like to start out in 3-minute increments, and I'll keep track. I'm going to moderate it. My name's Clint Walton, because I haven't introduced it. I'm used to people always knowing me, so I'm Clint Walton with SBPOA. But I'm going to be moderating this tonight and providing 3 minutes per candidate to provide their statements, their opening, their closings, and answer some questions that not only we as a Police Officers Association, but the community. It's important messages that the community wants to know these answers to make an educated decision on what candidate they're going to want to vote for. So without further ado, Ms. Knaus.
Well, first I want to, send my prayers in regards, because this is uncharacteristic of Henry Nickel. He definitely did show up. So my prayers to him and his family. I do hope that everything is okay. I want to say thank you to the SBPOA, because they have been fantastic community partners. In my involvement in community, which I started years ago, they have always been such, I will say, crusaders to being part of trying to rebuild the city of San Bernardino. And I want to say thank you for that. And to that note, that's what I'm here for. I am a longtime resident. I came to the city with my family as a very young girl. I won't say how young, but it was back in 1984. And I have seen a lot of changes with my city. Now, as a mom raising 2 kids in the city, I have to be very frank when I say I'm not happy with the city of San Bernardino right now. The changes that we have realized and the quality of life that we are currently experiencing are not acceptable. And that is what motivated me to step up and run for city council, because I need change. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. So with the next question, there's a lot of very important concerns and complaints that we hear from the police department on a regular basis, but it's something that we hear from city council members and sitting and active ones, as well as people campaigning. So I'm going to bring forward a few issues, and we'll highlight on each one of these issues. And the same plan going forward is you have 3 minutes to go through what you need to do, and we'll go from there. So, in your opinions, we have numerous issues, with one of them being crime in the city of San Bernardino. So, what is your plan if you're elected to the seat of council person for Ward 5? What's the first thing you're going to implement?
So one thing we have to recognize is the city of San Bernardino and the impacts of crime in our city is not a new challenge, unfortunately. We have been known as the #1 most crime-ridden city in the state of California, unfortunately, for many years. We had, unfortunately, a time period where we did not have stable leadership, which you guys know very well, being part of the PD. I'm very thankful that we now do have permanent leadership with our newer police chief, Chief Darren Goodman, and I have seen the tremendous strides that have taken place with the new leadership and having that stability within our police department. So number one, what's important is, one, we have to have a council that supports our police department. We have been very limited with resources in the city of San Bernardino. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. We went through the longest bankruptcy in United States history, and we are still grappling with the ramifications of that. We do not have enough officers. That is a reality of the situation. So we do have to find that balance in the proper planning and being strategic and balancing, being able to fund more officers, but also the community collaborations that we do have within our city. I know we have like the VIP program. We have to find a better way to be able to balance and work together as a community and also support our law enforcement agency. And it is going to take money to do that. Part of my platform is not just crime, but how we're going to be able to fund the necessary solutions. Money is an issue in the city of San Bernardino that's nothing new. So economic development is also a very important piece of the equation when it comes to solving a lot of the ails of the city of San Bernardino. We do have to also work on our economic viability in order to be able to solve crime in our city.
I appreciate that, thank you. The next issue is homelessness. And I'll just let you take the floor.
So that, I think, is the #1 most pressing issue for any resident, regardless of where you live in the city of San Bernardino. Currently, the city of San Bernardino hosts almost 1/3 of the entire homeless population of the county of San Bernardino. And keep in mind, San Bernardino County is the largest county in the United States. Talking about economics and money, it's unfortunate, I don't mean to be callous, but that's what it all unfortunately comes back to. The city of San Bernardino cannot afford to take on the brunt of 1/3 of the county's homeless population. We do need a regional approach. We cannot go about this alone. It is going to take a collaborative effort. Right now, our city has allocated about 40 million of the 77 million that we received in ARPA funding to be able to move forward with the Homeless Navigation Center. We have Pacific Village in our city that's a county project that has already been built and is being expanded. We have the Livestream services that we've also funded. So we are touted to have well over 600 beds right here in the city of San Bernardino. But we have to keep in mind that it's not just housing. Housing is a part of the solution. The wraparound services that come with that is just as important. And again, that does come back to money. Who is funding that? The average cost to service just one homeless individual is estimated about over $40,000. It's estimated now that's increased to closer to $50,000. So when you take that all and just giving some estimates, we have about 3,000 homeless individuals in the city of San Bernardino. If it takes about $50,000 to service, and this is just not housing, that's over $150 million. We can't afford it. We need help. This does need to be a partnership, and it does need to be a collaborative effort. So I will be working towards that.
All right, so this is a more intricate question. Is the city's infrastructure has been a struggle for many of us as not only citizens, but even as police officers responding from call to call within the city. What's your plan to start addressing some of the infrastructure concerns that citizens have?
So we have a tremendous amount of deferred maintenance in the city of San Bernardino. Back when Trish Ray was our public works director, she was able to do an actual citywide assessment, and the cost, the price tag to that, it was unaffordable. That's why, unfortunately, we're still in that predicament. And it goes back again to money, which is why I do not make any campaign promises. You will never hear me saying, yes, I'm going to repave your street. Yes, I'm going to fill your pothole, because the reality is all of that takes money. I focus on the economic viability of our city. If we do not have an intentional focus on building up our city coffers, these things will not get done. We need to focus on economic development. With that economic development comes the actual money, the funding, the financing to be able to have those very substantive infrastructure improvements. So economic development, economic viability is at the forefront of what I would like to do. And I say but I want to keep in mind this is not a me thing. It is going to, again, I'm going to stress collaboration. That's why building partnerships is so key. Not just working along the dais with hopefully my future colleagues at the council, but my endorsements are not just for namesake. I'm not just out there just trying to have big names to send to people on a flyer. These endorsements are to build the necessary bridges so that we can build those partnerships so that we can actually get things done. We're not going to be able to rebuild the city of San Bernardino from the inside out. We need the outside investment. We need people to believe in our city once again. And that's what hopefully I'm doing by getting people to see and believe in San Bernardino once again.
One of those infrastructures, it's a complicated message, but it's a concern that we're all dealing with on a daily basis. And we just, like I've talked about before, is us as police officers in our association, we understand that too, because we're having to deal with it on a regular basis. And so it's super important for us to hear all this information from candidates and for them to get their message out. So another issue is jobs within our city. So jobs are, the frankly lack of high-paying jobs is kind of the biggest struggle that we're faced with. We have a lot of distribution centers being put up within our community, and we have a lot of other avenues for employment, but not any sustainable incomes for a lot of households.
Can I go? The reality is the perception of our city. And again, I'm being very black and white and very transparent. San Bernardino has been the laughingstock of the Inland Empire for far too long. We are known for our toxic politics, and we are known for being very business unfriendly. That has to change. We have to be perceived in a way that we have open door. We are ready, we are welcoming for developers and interested parties to come and do business in our city. This is a multifaceted solution because it is going to take law enforcement and the proactivity and being seen as a safe city. It is going to be being perceived as a city of a council that has their stuff together, that isn't split, that doesn't involve toxic politics that unfortunately has plagued our city for so long. I am hoping to change that again. I will stress collaboration. We need those partnerships. We need to unite as a council, as a community, so that we can be seen in a different light and be able to bring in the high quality jobs. We do need better investment. I'm all for business and all types of business. I'm for industry, and I will never say no to jobs and development, but we do have to have diverse development. We can't just keep getting the fast food, the gas stations, and the car washes. We do need more.
Okay. The city has some economic engines within it, to include the airport, some surrounding commercial development areas, Cal State University, as well as the county government center and the courthouses. What would be your plan to start implementing or to leaning on those to start developing more income coming in for the city?
Absolutely, and I thank you, because that's a great question, because it's a great point. When you look at the city of San Bernardino, we have so many assets. We have an international airport. We have a highly rated college university. Right here in the 5th, we have Western Regionals. We host the Little League Series, but yet, unfortunately, we have not been able to leverage the assets that we have in our city. And again, it goes back to collaborations. We have not built the necessary partnerships with these assets within our city. Even when speaking of the county, there unfortunately is a disconnect. We have to be more intentional, and that comes with a vision and a plan. As a council, we have to set together, be unified, and we have to set a strategic plan for our city that we then get our partners to buy into. Right now, we're just not there, and I hope to be a part of the council that's able to develop that and move this city forward.
This is a touchy subject one. What should we do with the condemned City Hall building?
That is a touchy one. The reality is the price tag to renovate that building is not feasible. That is the reality. It's also reality that is a historic building. So we have to balance, do we tear down a building that was built by Cesar Pele, a very renowned architect, or especially, again, talking about economics and knowing the financial status of our city, because I want to just note, for anyone that's listening and doesn't know, we passed an unbalanced budget for the city of San Bernardino just recently. It is projected next year that our expenditures are going to exceed our revenue. Once again, we will be in the red. We have to take into consideration the true financial reality of the state of our city. That is a fact. Does it make sense for us to invest that kind of money in trying to renovate City Hall? We have had numerous opportunities for grant funding to be able to do that, and unfortunately, the city did not take advantage of that. It is a very tough decision that has to be made. It doesn't make sense to continue operating out of the Vineyard Towers, renting space, in order to be able to effectively move our city forward and have a focus on economic development. We should have really centered city services. You shouldn't be driving from all over the city to be able to achieve things, especially from outside investors coming in wanting to do business in our city. So it's a reality that we do have to face, and it might be a tough decision that does have to be made.
So to branch off of that question, with that in mind, what are your ideas on redeveloping the Carousel Mall property?
It's not my ward, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but we do know how integral a downtown is to a city. Downtown is the heart of a city, and if we are able to revitalize downtown San Bernardino, the ramifications of that are going to benefit the entire city of San Bernardino. So it is something that is near and dear to my heart. Growing up in the city, I was one of those kids that frequented Carousel Mall. It's unfortunate that what has transpired, it's gone. That's just the reality that we have to face. Yet and still, it is still a tremendous asset when we talk about economic viability in our city. It is our city core. I would like to see something innovative. We cannot keep doing what's already been done. We are not going to have the next Victoria Gardens. It's already been built. We are not going to have the next Renaissance Marketplace. Not only has it already been built, they're already in talks of phase 2. We have to do something that's more innovative and that speaks to the city of San Bernardino. I would like to see something that is mixed use, that does incorporate housing, but again, I would like to see something also that incorporates something that is innovative, that you don't see in Redlands, that you don't see in Rancho, and that you don't see in Rialto.
And that kind of brings me to my next question. And we as the POA completely understand that's completely outside of Ward 5. But in saying that, the reason we want to bring that to light is to see what kind of cooperation that you'll be able to have with other council members. Because right now we have a lot of, I can never say this word right, so be patient, dissension amongst our council members. And my whole mindset with asking these specific questions is not only to say, what are your plans to deal with someone else's ward? It's to see, okay, the opportunities that are there to be able to work with other council members. What are your plans to start alleviating those problems on our current council if you're elected?
One is a willingness. As I stated before, it's not about me. There is no way that Kim Knaus alone is going to change the city of San Bernardino. As much as I love to think highly of myself, The reality is it is going to take a us. It's not about me. Again, it is going to take a us. In my community involvement in starting the Vermont Revitalization Project and being able to work with my neighbors and save a community center, that was done with working with our council. I am willing to play in the sandbox with everybody. This is nothing personal. The only thing that's personal for me is being able to help the city of San Bernardino rise for my babies, the 2 little children that call me mommy. That's what's personal for me. Other than that, I'm friends with everybody. I don't have any enemies.
Well, and I'll have one more question, and then I'll turn it over. So if anyone from the community would like to ask a question, I won't spend tons of time on it, but if you have a question you would truly like to ask relevant to tonight's topics, I'll give you the opportunity to ask that. In your experience, you don't have any elected personnel experience. How's your plan to combat that within this election cycle and to overcome it?
Well, one, I think it's a positive. I'm not a politician. Don't want to be. What I want to be is a person that sits aside the colleagues there at the dais that actually is focused on the city of San Bernardino, not their next political seat. That's what I bring to the table. I've never ran for mayor. I've never ran for an assembly seat. I've never ran for Congress. And I will never say never, but you'll probably never see me run for that. Have no desire. My only desire is for the city that raised me and that is now raising my kids to actually change. I need change. I may not have elected experience, but I have experience in municipal government. I had the privilege, it's one of the most profound jobs that I've had to date that has impacted me and directed my career, is working as a senior field representative for our 5th District County Supervisor, Joe Baca Jr. And in that time there, we had successes. We were able to show results. That's what I bring to the table. We weren't about talk, we were about action. And I was able to learn a lot in the capacity of a senior field representative, working there and navigating complex legislation, funding allocations. That's what I bring to the table.
I appreciate it. Does anyone from the community have any questions that you would like to ask? All right. Yes, sir. Yeah, if you ask it, I'll repeat it, and then.
And I don't appreciate that because the people that built the area that I live in had a plan. It used to be nicknamed Deputy Flats. That was because a lot of officers and firefighters and jail workers lived in the area, and it was a safe area. It still is, but it's slipping. So my question is, that was an editorial statement. That wasn't a question. So my question is, the rocks at the top of Palm, the Oxbow rocks. Year after year, people say they're going to do something about it. No, unless I lost my vision, no one has done anything about it, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate people saying they're going to do something and then don't do it year after year. What would you do about it? How would you accomplish it? Because it needs to be accomplished very soon, because it's an eyesore to our area. It's a beautiful area, but it's an eyesore.
Thank you, and I think that really is the elephant in the room when it comes to the 5th District. It's extremely unfortunate that a burned down facility and the concrete from that burned down facility was allowed to be dumped literally in our neighborhood. But it's there, and we have to deal with it. And the thing is, just to your point, we need action. We've had a lot of talk. I call it the city of talk, not the city of action. What I would like to do is one, and I've been advocating for this, I asked the previous city manager for this, is we do need to come together as a community. We need to be armed with facts. There's been talks that the pile is toxic, it's not toxic, there's reports. I think at this point, we need black and white data. There was a toxicology report that was done. I actually have that in my possession. But I think the reality is with all the opinions and the chatter, even on the Nextdoor app, which isn't always the best source of information, I don't know at this point that the community is confident with what has been presented. I think it would be ideal if, one, we can come together as a community, be able to have a toxicology report that is commissioned by the city of San Bernardino, because we do have to know if it is in fact toxic, it has to be remediated. You can't just go hauling away toxic concrete without remediating it properly. So whether we're going to crush, whether we're going to haul it away, we first have to know what we're dealing with. That would be step number one. Step number two is, after finding out whether it's toxic or not, is then what do we do with it? There's been the back and forth of, do we crush on site or do we haul it away? I took the time to speak with AQMD. I had a very long conversation, very knowledgeable rep, and it was very informative to me. I'm the type of individual, I know what I don't know. I'm not in construction. I'm not in that area. So I had to take the time to educate myself. I didn't even know what on-site crushing was. So I had to learn about what that process was, what it entails. But again, our community hasn't had that opportunity. All of the residents of the 5th Ward haven't been able to sit on the phone for over an hour with AQMD. Let's keep in mind also it took me 30 minutes of whole time to get to that representative. I'm sorry, the Air Quality Management District. And they are actually the agency that regulates the crushing machines, which I learned as well. So again, I would like for us to be able to be armed with facts, actual data, so that we can move forward as a community and make a decision together. We're not going to be able to get consensus as far as all of us agreeing to do one thing or the other, but I think at the very minimum is taking the appropriate steps to have the data, be able to have that community meeting that has the necessary parties like Air Quality Management District, and then decide, are we going to do the crushing or are we going to haul it away? Either way, we have to make a decision on which one that's going to be.
Well, lastly, thank you everyone for coming tonight. And you have a question?
I was privileged to have my brother that's got 40 years of geotechnical, and we went up to that site. I read the 38-page report. It was done by a very, very qualified report. If we find that to be toxic, the removal goes from 2 million to 10 million. So it's already been proven that it's not. I mean, we can keep digging until we find it, and we may find one battery and be toxic, and it'll cost the city, instead of 2 million, 8 million. The rich towns in our city, in surrounding cities, they crush it because it makes more sense. If we elect to move it, they're going to crush it, they're going to sell it. So it's not advantageous for us to really move it and have somebody crush it and sell it, when we can use it for base for whatever's going to be there. So that's just a statement I was going to make.
All right. Once again, thank you everybody for coming tonight, from streaming this from at home, and taking the time to listen to me and listen to Ms. Knaus here share her thoughts and her forward-moving progressions for the city. And time is one thing that none of us can give back, so I truly do appreciate all the time that you guys have dedicated to us tonight. Feel free to reach out to the candidates, and if you have questions for them, what's your website?
Vote Kim Knaus, and that's KNAUS.com.
And if you have any questions, or if you want to make donations to either one of them, and I would have done this for Mr. Nickel if he was here. Unfortunately, and he's not, and hopefully everything is okay, because it is, like Ms. Knaus said, it is extremely out of character for him not to come to an event like this. He's typically very responsive and shown up. So hopefully everything's well with himself and his family. So for that, we will close this out, and I appreciate everyone once again, and the SBPOA thanks you. And like I said before, watch our channel, subscribe, because we have a lot of exciting stuff coming forward in the near future. And we're going to be monitoring all of these races to see how we can embed San Bernardino, because that's what all of us want. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful night.